Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas, and I'm back doing another director ranking where I take a director, watch all the movies that they directed, or at least try to watch all the movies I can possibly get to, and then rank all the movies that they direct. Anyways, this time I'm going to rank the movies of Michael Bay. Michael Bay is really known as kind of one of the big time action directors of our time, at least of my time watching movies from last 30 some years, I guess, since Bad Boys in the 90s. Michael Bay, I think I first was really introduced to him from Armageddon. I remember that movie being huge. I saw it in the movie theater. This big disaster, meteorite's going to destroy the world. It had a great cast. Even some people that weren't big stars yet, like Owen Wilson. Even Steve Buscemi, I don't think was a big star. I don't know if he ever became a big star, but to me, there were some really good character actors that would then go on to become bigger. Even Ben Affleck wasn't a big star, I think, at the time. This was kind of one of his first starring roles. The biggest star, obviously, was Bruce Willis in the lead. Also introduced me kind of to Liv Tyler, I think, at the time. I don't think I knew who she was before Lord of the Rings would really make her a big actress. Though I know she's been in stuff before this. But anyways, Armageddon, I just remember just thinking that movie is so funny. I think what I loved most about it is the humor was so funny. Steve Buscemi stole the whole movie for me. He was so funny in that movie. But it also was a great, over the top, stuff was happening all the time. There's catastrophes they had to overcome anyways. And also a great song, Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Yeah, that movie's huge. I loved it when I saw it in the theater. I think that was always been one of my favorite Michael Bay films. And I think it really made me a Michael Bay fan at the time, where I was like, yeah, I really want to see what Michael Bay is doing next. I think over the years, though, we kind of look back at Michael Bay, and he's more of a negative. We talk him more as a negative director, I think, in that his movies aren't very good. I think a lot of people, critics, so forth, really give negative reviews, and he's looked down upon as like, oh my gosh, Michael Bay, it's going to be over the top action movie. Maybe not very good plot, cringe humor. I think he's kind of associated with a lot of negativity nowadays. And he's not looked at as fondly, I think he was when I was watching him in the 90s. He was like kind of a director to watch kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting his career is kind of gone. He's still making movies, I suppose. I don't think I've seen a movie of his for a while. It feels like he really got into Transformers, and he made like 5 Transformers movies. So that came like this huge kind of trademark franchise that really kind of he was behind anyways, and kept making movie after movie after movie. It's cool when he goes out of that and makes something more original or more different. Love to see him go in different directions than what he's been doing, and show that he's maybe he can get out of this funk of being kind of this not very good, not really sought after, or not a director that people talk really fondly of anymore. And I know there's some behind the scenes stuff. He's a bit of a creep. There's some really creepy stories that I've heard about him. All that. I think he started as a music video director. He directed music videos, and it seems like we've gotten a lot of those kind of guys that started in the music video industry and then moved on to making movies and been successful. Michael Bay is definitely one of them. Whatever you want to say about Michael Bay, I think he's definitely one that's made an impact in pop culture. And it's everybody's probably seen a movie of his and knows about him. And yeah, maybe there's fans out there. I'm kind of like not a huge fan anymore as I used to be when I was younger. But there are some good stuff here that I still enjoy. And there's some really bad stuff too as well. And so let's look at the 15 movies that he has directed. Michael Bay. So at number 15, I think the worst movie he's made is a movie called Six Underground. I don't know if everybody remembers this movie. When it was a Netflix movie, it came out just on Netflix, starring Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds was like huge. I think he just came off of Deadpool maybe at that time. So he was like one of the biggest sought after stars in Hollywood. And this was a Michael Bay Netflix movie, so it seemed interesting to check out, like what is he doing, I can't remember who else was in it. It seemed like it might have been a decent cast or whatever. Man, this movie is bonkers. It was like the most Michael Bay of Michael Bay. Like I feel like when you say Michael Bay, when you say those words, we all have a vision of what a Michael Bay movie is going to look like. We all go, oh yeah, I know what this is going to be like. For the most part, it's not going to be a romantic comedy. It's not, going to be a biopic drama. It's going to be a balls to the walls action movie. And this was like the most Michael Bay of the Michael Bay movies, where it was just bonkers from the very beginning. There's like a chase scene at the very beginning that starts a movie. You have no idea what's going on. You don't know the characters, and you're in this really crazy chase scene. And that's how the movie starts. And then you kind of learn about Ryan Reynolds. I think he does a lot of fourth wall breaking in the movie, talking to the camera, kind of narrating what's going on or giving the backstory of it. Anyways, and it's just like, yeah, Michael Bay made this movie, and everybody said, Michael Bay, just make the craziest movie you ever have dreamed of in your mind, and we'll make it. Whatever, nothing, everything goes. We won't say no to anything. And so it's like he was unleashed. It's like Michael Bay unleashed, and it is a really terrible movie. It's just all over the place. It was hard to follow the plot at all. It was a lot of action, but it was just so over the top. It was hard to really understand what was going on, so it's hard to even really be interested in the action scenes. So I kind of remember watching it just being like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm kind of bored because I don't know what's going on, even though there's a lot of action here. And the action was just so over the top, and just the acting was over the top. Everything was just too much, and it did not work at all. So definitely don't go see that movie. Six Underground here. Number 14, I'm going to talk about some Transformers movies, because I feel like Transformers movies, as you'll see in my list, got much worse as it went on. Each movie got worse and worse and worse. And so right here, number 14, I have Transformers: The Last Night. This is the fifth of the Transformers movies, the last one that Michael Bay directed. And then I guess he's handed off to somebody else to direct some more Transformers movies, because we got more after this. And to say I don't remember much about this movie, I think Anthony Hopkins is in it, if I remember right. I think Stanley Tucci maybe has a small part. And I think this is a Mark Wahlberg. This is like a second film of the Transformers franchise. He made like 2 of the 5 films. He was kind of the main character here. And it's just like, no, I don't know. Every time they made a Transformers movie, it's like, why are they making another Transformers movie? These movies, it was kind of cool at first, but now it's like, they don't work. I don't know. Michael Bay Transformers movies just didn't work. Again, it's the same thing as I said before. It's just the plot's all over the place. I had a hard time following exactly what the plot was. There's so many new characters that they bring, new Transformers, new voice actors, which they get good voice actors, but it's like the most stereotypical type of like, now there's a samurai Transformer, now there's a cowboy Transformer. It's just we're just trying to find every single type of stereotypical Transformer or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what we're doing here. And I just remember not being able to follow the plot very well. And I couldn't tell you much about the movie, except that I just remember going, I can't believe, I guess they kept making money, so they kept making the movies, even though critically, I know all these movies got bashed really terribly. But I guess people just loved it because they were big, dumb action movies. But yeah, I thought this was really bad movie. Transformers: Last Night, which goes into number 13 on my list, which is Transformers: Age of Extinction, which I believe was the fourth of the 5 Transformer movies they made. The first one with Mark Wahlberg, where he's a Boston mechanic who like comes across a Transformer and rebuilds it, I think. It might be like Bumblebee or something. And he has a daughter and all this, and she's dating a guy who's older, and there's the whole thing there. And I can't remember much of the plot again, except I can't remember. This is the one with, I know there's one where they introduce like Dinobots or something and all these other kind of things. So they're trying to go more into the lore Transformers as we know it. But yeah, I just thought, again, it was over the top. I had a hard time following really the plot. It just didn't interest me. I just thought it was stupid again. I just remember Mark Wahlberg, I think it's a Transformer. I just remember him saying that and going, oh my gosh, it's a strong Boston accent. No way do I believe Mark Wahlberg's a genius, like engineer, guy that can put a Transformer together. Like, no way. It just doesn't fit. It was just terrible all right around. Number 12, we're going to go with Ambulance. This is another, I think, maybe direct-to-streaming movie. I don't know if this was in the theaters. I can't remember. I saw it on streaming somewhere, like Netflix or something. I remember it was again like, okay, we're trying to do the whole Michael Bay thing, make it this very, intense action movie. We're following this ambulance. There's these bank robbers, and one of the guys dying, so they get into an ambulance, and they have an EMT person trying to help keep one guy alive. And there's cameras everywhere. There's helicopters, and there's a negotiator. All this, and Jake Gyllenhaal is like the main kind of villain. I don't know. Jake Gyllenhaal, he's such a good actor. It's just not one of his best roles. And he's playing a bad guy here, which I'm not saying he can't play a bad guy, but I don't know. I like him better when he's playing more of the good guy than the bad guy character. I don't think it worked as well in this movie because he's such a good-looking, charismatic guy. I don't know. I may be totally wrong with that, but anyways, that's beside the point. But it was just a ridiculous movie where it's like we're supposed to be interested in intensely this ambulance. The whole movie seems like it takes place in this ambulance, and you just get so many. I think the worst thing is the quick edits. It's just edit, which is like a Michael Bay thing, I think. And it's supposed to be this epic thing, but it's just a stupid ambulance that the helicopters are chasing and trying to get the bad guy. I don't know. It was just a stupid premise, I think, that didn't work as an action kind of Michael Bay type film. It was just the worst kind of movie for Michael Bay to direct, and I think he just over directed it with all the different edits and stuff. Anyway, so that's at number 12. Number 11 is Pain and Gain. This is actually a movie that people usually point to go, this is a Michael Bay movie that works, because it's not an over-top action movie. It's actually more of just a comedy, kind of crime comedy, whatever. And so I think a lot of people point to this as being like one of his better movies. I don't know. I wasn't really into the movie that much. And I do like that it has The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. It has Mark Wahlberg, and has Anthony Mackie. I like those three actors. They're kind of the main of it. And they're these, bodybuilders over there, just, in the gym buddies. And they decide to kidnap a guy to ransom him for money. And it doesn't work out, and they end up getting caught or something like that. And I just never cared for the whole story, I guess. And also, I just thought the humor didn't really work for me. I think it worked for some people, but for me, it was still... Michael Bay's humor is not the best. I think it's a little cringy at times. I don't know. It didn't work for me. Maybe I need to watch it again. I only watched it one time. I remember, just didn't care for it. So, yeah, it might be a little low here, but it's at number 11 here. Pain and Gain. Number 10, we're going to go Transformers Dark of the Moon, another Transformers movie. This is the final of the Shia LaBeouf trilogy. His character, kind of the way it takes. It's interesting because I'm going to forget the name of the girl, but I think her name's like Megan or something like that. Who's his girlfriend in the first two movies. And then then she says some terrible things about Michael Bay, and so Michael Bay basically fires her. And so they get a new girlfriend for the third movie while they're kind of building up this relationship for the first two movies. And the third movie they go, oh yeah, he dumped her, she was mean, whatever. And now we got this other really good looking, supermodel blonde is his new girlfriend anyways in this one. So I don't know, that was a little weird that they kind of took out one of the major characters of the franchise out because there's a, pettiness between Michael Bay and the actress. Yeah, this is definitely the weakest of the three movies, I think. But like I said, better than the other ones. I do like Shia LaBeouf's character, and I love his parents are great, and I'll talk about more in other movies. The overall plot wasn't the greatest. So there's the moon, I think, is maybe a transformer or something like that, or a base for or the Megatrons. And this guy they unearth, who's been sleeping for a long time, we think is a good guy, but ends up being a bad guy, and it's voiced by Leonard Nimoy. And so we have this whole thing. And of course, the Megatron. Is Megatron? Is that his name? I guess Decepticons. They're called Decepticons. Megatron's the main villain. So he comes back into play, which I thought they already killed him, but he's back in, and they have to fight him again. And I think I would say that the special effects are still really incredible. I remember one scene where someone's in the Transformer car, and the car like jumps something, it's up in the air, and it transforms out of the car into a Transformer and like shoots something, and then transforms back into the car. and lands. Like, that was actually a really cool scene. I thought that was like one of the coolest special effects scenes I've ever seen. I'm like, wow, that was like cool how that all worked. That person's inside, like, what the heck? And then it goes back into the car. I think one of the stupidest plot points is there's a human being in the movie, played by, I'm forgetting his name now. I know he's like McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy, and he ends up being like a villain. You don't know, but he's working for the Decepticons, even though the Decepticons' whole like goal is to just wipe out humankind. Yet this one human's like, you know what? I'm gonna help the guys who want to kill all humans. It's kind of an idea of like, hey, they're the better. You know, it's almost like jumping ship or bandwagon. You know, like, hey, these people are stronger than the good guys, so I'm just gonna side with the bad guys. But it's like they're gonna kill all humans. Why would you side with the guys that want to kill you ultimately? It just doesn't make any sense. It's one of the stupid plot points I've ever seen. But anyways, overall, again, just didn't work as a movie for me. Number 9, I have Bad Boys here. This is the very first Michael Bay movie, and I actually just saw it a couple days ago to complete my list. It's the one movie I hadn't seen yet, actually. When I was looking at Michael Bay movies, I was like, I wonder how many Michael Bay movies I've seen. And I ended up seeing 14 out of the 15. The only one I hadn't seen was Bad Boys. So I was like, okay, I gotta see Bad Boys. I know that's the first movie. It's a classic of his movies. People seem to really like this movie. I came very close to liking this movie. There are some good points to it. I think mostly that Will Smith and now I'm forgetting his name. Martin Lawrence, have good chemistry together. They're funny together, and that's what really makes the movie is them together. Though there's a lot of part of the movie where they're apart and they're doing different things, which I don't think work really as well. They're definitely better when they're just, cracking jokes at each other, giving each other a hard time. Really, that's mostly the movies, them just really bashing each other and giving each other a hard time. That parts are kind of fun. And then there's kind of this crime, going on, this crime story. They're trying to find this bad guy and also trying to protect a witness. You got the whole thing going on. There's some parts of it that just feel very sitcom-y. It's like, okay, we're getting away from the plot. We're just doing, these jokey things, with Martin Lawrence and his wife and this girl that he has to help protect, and it's the usual, and then he thinks something's going on with his wife and Will Smith, and it's like, okay, I didn't care for all that. I could have cut all that out. Just let's concentrate on the crime, trying to figure out who did it kind of thing. And while they're doing that, they can crack the jokes, but I don't know. So I feel like there was a little too much of that, and it kind of dragged the movie down. Though there are good points to it. It's not the most over-action movie of the franchise. It does... I do like Michael Bay kind of... I don't know if he's... Signature Michael Bay? It's kind of signature Michael Bay is to have the characters kind of look cool in a cool pose and have the camera rotate around them. Very cool shot. I don't know if he's the first to do it. It feels like a Michael Bay kind of signature move that he does in all his movies. And you see it there and you go, yeah, Michael Bay knows how to direct action movies and make people look cool. Like, he definitely has a good sense of that, I think. You take everything else away, he does know how to use a camera very well. Yeah, so I'm going to say this is not quite a recommendable movie for me, but kind of close. I think they could have cut down the movie a little bit, and they could have maybe got there. I will say one thing watching this, like, it's funny, this is like Will Smith's like first like really big movie, I think, that he kind of starred in, because he was mostly known for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I used to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when I was a kid. I loved that show, and I thought he was hilarious. And to me, he was always this comedy actor, and so then you put him in this movie, and he's more of a, action star-looking guy, cop, and he does have some comedy, but he's mostly, I say Martin Lawrence is more the comedian out of the two, more the comic relief out of the two. So to me, this movie really showed that Will Smith was an absolute star in the making. I feel like he did this in like 95, and then the very next year, 96, he does Independence Day, and that movie is absolutely huge. He really just, looked so good in that movie. Funny. Again, he can do comedy and do heroics. He looks great. I think he feels like he maybe worked out and got himself in good shape. And yeah, he's just a star. You just go, yeah, this guy's a star. He can do anything. So I will say it shows that in the movie. Number 9, I'm going to go with Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, another Transformers movie here. This is the second movie in the series. And at first, I really liked the movie when I saw it in theater. I still think it had, still that, definitely a lot of comedy mixed in with some cool special effects. So the Transformers, I think, is really cool how they do all that. And a really good, action movie with lots of explosions and big robot battles. It has all that stuff. It's very cool. I know this is a movie that really kind of almost seemed like the downfall of Michael Bay. It feels like this movie really was like the beginning of the end for him as like a credible director, where everybody was like, yeah, I don't think he's a very good director. And mostly because some of the humor is considered politically incorrect. It seemed like he was making fun of certain ethnic groups. And some of the humor is a little immature as well and cringe and all that. Looking back, I do think the movie's a little too long. I like most of the humor. I think some of the humor is, though, a little too much. It feels like they're trying too hard to be funny at times. And yeah, the last part is just drags. It's just, I don't know. It seemed like they could have cut it down, made it a little tighter, a little shorter. Too many characters, too. I feel like they always introduce so many characters in these movies. It's hard to really, follow all of them. But there are some good action moments in there, like I said, and there's some good comedy moments. And I would say it's not quite a recommend, though I did like it at first. I say now I'd go, it's probably not quite a recommend, but very close. Number 7, this is an interesting one. This is Pearl Harbor. Yeah, this is, again, I said he doesn't do biopic, dramas, but here he is doing a, kind of a war drama kind of movie depicting one of the most significant moments in U.S. history, the bombing Pearl Harbor that from Japan that got us into the World War II, that eventually we were able to defeat, the Germans and Japan and all that in one of the biggest wars in history. And, famously, the day that lives in infamy, a day we think about still to this day is one of those moments where we came together as a country and, we're victorious. So it's interesting that you picked Michael Bay to do this movie. So it does have that Michael Bay-ness of, like, it's big, over-the-top action in some parts. But yeah, it's mostly a drama. I don't think it has much comedy. He definitely backed down the comedy, which I think was a good thing. And surprisingly, I'm going to say I actually kind of like the movie. And what's significant about this movie for me is the first time I ever watched a movie on DVD. Yeah, movies back in the day, I was always VHSs. I had VHS tapes. You put it in your VCR, and you had to rewind it, play it, and then rewind it after you're done. That's what we did. And then I remember the DVD coming out, and I just thought, whoa, what is this? This is like so groundbreaking, futuristic, instead of this big blocky thing, we got a little disc thing that you put in the DVD player and you never have to rewind. That was incredible. And that you could skip to other scenes. And then also when you find out they put special features on there, I fell in love with DVDs as soon as I saw one. I was like, I have to get rid of all my VHS tapes and I'm going to buy DVDs. I got to start a DVD collection. And that's what I did after I saw that Pearl Harbor on DVD. So just blew my mind. That's what technology went to at that time. So I don't know. I have a little nostalgia for this movie. I remember seeing it on DVD with some family, and I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was like a cool drama. There's a romance triangle drama thing going on there. But the actual Pearl Harbor scene I thought was actually very well done, exciting. There's one of the best shots we've ever seen in a movie where we see the camera point of view of a bomb falling down from a plane onto a ship. Really cool shot that I think was in the trailer, and you go, wow. Michael Bay, like I said, he does know how to put cool shots together that make a movie interesting. I think he did that pretty well. I think some would look at it and say it's very unrealistic to what happened, or it's not very historically accurate. That may be true. I don't know. I enjoyed it enough that I would give it a light recommend. All right, number 6, I'm going to go with Bad Boys 2. Yeah, Bad Boys 2, I think an even better sequel to Bad Boys. And this could be number 1 for a lot of people. I think this is one of the most well-respected, beloved action movies from Michael Bay, and for good reason. Again, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence are great together. It's interesting, this movie came out, I feel like it came out a bit later after the first Bad Boys. And Will Smith, like I said, I feel like Bad Boys was kind of the first part of him becoming like just an overall, not just a comedy star, but just an international, Hollywood star. where he can do drama, he can do action, he can do comedy. You put him in anything, he looks good in it. So I know by this point he was just making big, and he's mostly known for making early on just these really big budget action movies, sci-fi action that did very well. Like I said, Independence Day was one of them. Men in Black he would do, which is great, another movie I really enjoy. Later on, like I, Robot, and many more. Just one a good action franchise after another. Seems like, or not franchise, but action, sci-fi, whatever. And so he was like number one. He was like one of the number one actors in Hollywood, where he was just very bankable star. And so it's funny when he got Bad Boys 2, they get Martin Lawrence and him together again. And yeah, they do very well together again. They kind of, right where they left off in the last one. It is over the top kind of action movie, that Michael Bay style, but it is a fun movie. I think it's actually one of his better movies. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I just remember, yeah, it was very enjoyable. The humor works for the most part. There's some parts there where it's like, okay, he could have dialed back a little bit, maybe a little too much. It might be a little too long too. He maybe could have shortened the movie a little bit. But there's some great action moments. I think, if I remember right, there's like a big highway chase scene, shootout that's really good in the movie. Anyways, and yeah, overall, very, very entertaining, very enjoyable movie. So yeah, Bad Boys 2, definitely one you have to check out. I think everybody seems to like that movie. Number 5, I don't know if this is a underrated movie, but I have The Island here, number 5. I think a very interesting movie, a very interesting premise overall, sci-fi premise with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. When they both were becoming pretty big stars at the time. Scarlett Johansson at this time, this movie came out, it was before, she played Black Widow in the MCU, so it was before all of that, but she was already doing Lost in Translation before, and was considered like, pretty sought after actress. Anyways, Ewan McGregor is coming off, of course, Star Wars, and he was pretty big as well at this time. Yeah, so it's hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it, but that's what's the most interesting part of this movie, when they spoil it, because you don't really know what's going on. They're on an island. They have very strict rules that they have to abide by, including not having relations with the opposite sex, whatever. And they don't quite understand. They're on this. They're told they live on this island, and that there's a mainland that they can only. Every once in a while, someone wins a lottery and gets to go to the mainland, I think. And everybody's like, wins the lottery and go to the mainland. They're like, oh my gosh, the mainland. That's like, that's where everybody wants to go. I don't know if it's like, I forget now. I think maybe they're saying like it's almost like this post-apocalyptic world or something like that. And so that's why they live on this island, and they're so regulated on everything they do. And they don't really quite understand. There's obviously a lot of information they don't know. They're just trying to be kept happy. And then there's a moment where something bad is happening and they need to get off this island, because there's more to what they don't know. And so Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson leave the island. They get to the real world and they realize, why are they keeping us away from the real world? Like, this place is awesome. And they have more freedom and all that. And gosh, I don't know if I want to spoil it, but it's a good spoiler, so I'm not going to spoil it. But when you find out what's going on, it is a great spoiler, a great twist to the movie when you find out what's really going on and why they're on the island. Anyways, actually really good. I really enjoy that about the movie, because I really didn't know what was going on until they reveal it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's a really good use of this idea. Like I said, it's a little bit of sci-fi element that we've seen before. So they've been on the run. People are out to get them, and they're trying to understand more about themselves and all that. And again, it's overall a great premise. There's some good action moments. Again, I think there's another really good highway action scene where they're on the run anyways, and very satisfactory ending to the movie. Yeah, I really, really enjoy this movie. Definitely check out The Island. I think it's definitely one of his most underrated movies. All right, number 4, I'm going with Armageddon. I talked about Armageddon. That was kind of my first movie of Michael Bay that really got me into Michael Bay as a kid. And it's an interesting movie because, yeah, it's a good first movie, I think, for Michael Bay. It really shows you what he can do. It's a great disaster sci-fi premise of big meteorites come and destroy the Earth, and we got these drillers who are going to put on the meteorite, who we are really good at drilling. They're going to drill in a nuclear bomb to blow up the meteorite so that it splits up and it won't destroy the Earth. Really good idea. I love the whole premise idea of it. It's funny, we also had Deep Impact that came out that year about a meteorite come and destroy the Earth. Two movies about meteorites in the same year. I think this is the more entertaining one and probably the more fun one to watch. I do think it has a lot of humor to it, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. Now looking back, it may be too much humor. It's a little too, it's a little too stylized at times too, I guess. But that's just the way Michael Bay likes to shoot movies. But it's very entertaining. They get on the meteorite, and then things go wrong immediately, and a bunch of them die, and they get split up, and they're trying to find each other because they gotta drill this thing. It's a little over dramatic at times as well. But I said I do love Steve Buscemi because he goes a little crazy in the movie and has some of the funniest dialogue in the whole movie. And there's some great dialogue. Like, I love the guy, he's riding he's on top of the nuclear bomb and going, "Hey, Dr. Strangelove." And the guy goes, "Get off of the nuclear bomb." There's a lot of great stuff like that throughout the whole. I love Owen Wilson's small part here. Where he's like, what kind of atmosphere are we going to get when we get on this meteorite? And the guy talks about like, oh, some parts their gravity is too much, it's too little. There's he talks about all the terrible stuff that was going to happen, and Owen Wilson ends it with, "Oh, so the worst thing ever imaginable. Why didn't you just tell us that?" And that's a line I use all the time in real life. Anytime someone tells me something bad, I go, "Why didn't you just tell me the worst thing imaginable? Just tell me that, and I'd get what you're talking about." Anyways. Besides that, so many good stuff in this movie. Again, the ending is a little dramatic. Now I watch it, a little cringy, a little too much catastrophe in the movie. Like everywhere they go, something bad happens. Oh no, something bad happens and we're gonna die. We got to get out, and it's like, okay, it's almost too intense at times, I think. But overall, it is a fun, entertaining movie with a great cast, and it's hard not to have fun with this movie. So it's still here at number 4. Number 3, we have The Rock. Yeah, The Rock. I think it's definitely a very well-beloved Michael Bay film. I think this definitely is towards the top on most people's list. You got Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Really great combination there. I really like those two together. Interesting premise overall. Ed Harris playing a very good villain kind of in the movie, where he's a military who takes over this Alcatraz, I think, or something like that, and he has a bomb or something like that, and he's trying to negotiate, kind of ransom with the government for money because he feels like he's actually doing it for like a good cause. Like he feels like military people aren't getting paid enough, and so he's like, has these hostages, and so they have to have Nicolas Cage, who's like an expert, and I think he has maybe a nuclear weapon or something like that, but he has like expertise in nuclear weapons or something like that. And they pair him with Sean Connery, who's a former prisoner, who's the only prisoner to ever escape Alcatraz. So they have him kind of lead a team in. He knows how to get in because he's the one who figured out how to get out. Great pairing. I do love Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage are very good. Nicolas Cage playing more of the nerdy guy instead of the action guy that he does in like Con Air and stuff like that. And Sean Connery, playing the old veteran, more action type role. It's a very fun role. It's a very fun movie. There's some good action moments throughout, lots of shootouts and stuff like that. And I really like all the characters, I think, and the acting's very good. And shot very well. It has good humor, but it's not too over the top, I think, as some of the other movies. So it just works perfectly as a movie, I think. Every aspect of it. So definitely check out The Rock. I think very good movie from Michael Bay. All right, number 2, we are going with Transformers, original one. I am putting Transformers up this high. And number 2, I think a lot of people look back and, like I said, I feel like when Transformers came out, it was huge. It made a ton of money, and I think mostly it was critics were giving it somewhat good reviews. I can't remember. But I remember I feel like anybody I talked to that saw the movie in the theater was like, yeah, they really like Transformers. So I feel like it had good buzz around it. I remember when I went and saw it, I just kept hearing people talk about how they liked the movie. And it looked cool. It was hyped up. It was cool to see Transformers for the first time in live action, because I've only seen Transformers in cartoons. Because I used to watch the cartoons as a kid, and I always was a big Transformers fan. So I was like, okay, how are they going to do this? It's funny that it was like one of those things where it's like, wow, we finally got good enough special effects wise that we can do this, which is really cool to see. Like, oh wow, we couldn't have done this 10 years earlier. It's just now we're getting to that part where we can do this, and it was very well done. But yeah, I still think this is, when I saw it in the movie theater, I loved it. Again, I think the humor really worked in here. I think it was a really funny movie, outside the fact that it was a really cool special effects movie. And it was really cool seeing Transformers come to life and them transform into the car or whatever it is and transform out. You had some big battles at the end that were very cool. And it was like this star-making power of Shia LaBeouf, which would go on to ruin his career because of his personal life. But at that time, you're like, wow, Shia LaBeouf, he really carried this movie. And he's still a pretty young guy. And he was known mostly for a comedy. And it's like, here he's definitely was still more comedic. But yet he was carrying the movie as like the main actor, and it was an easy thing to do, and he does a really good job here. Like I said, so many great characters. I love his parents. I know Kevin Dunn is one, and I forget the mom, but they are so funny in their scenes together. Great laughs there. Also, I do love the agent that is looking for this Transformers alien life, whatever. John Turturro is absolutely hilarious in the movie as well. He steals a lot of the scenes that he's in as well. Cool seeing John Voight here too. I thought he did a great job. So yeah, I think just one of the most entertaining movies I think I've ever seen in the movie theater. I had such a blast with this one. Even going back, I still think it's a very fun movie. I think the humor still works. It's not too bad. I think later on, I may be wrong, but just felt like they upped the immature humor in the other Transformers, where like every movie, it's like there's a dog humping a leg or one of the little Transformers humping a leg, and it's like, okay, I can deal without this old leg humping joke. It doesn't work. It's just very immature. I can't remember if it happens in this movie. It might, but I just remember Michael Bay's obsessed with animals humping people's legs or something. Anyway, it's just part of his humor that doesn't work for me. But yeah, I think the story-wise is probably not the greatest story, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to be a fun action movie, and it was. I think it really worked, and I still enjoy watching it today. So it's number 2 on the list, which leaves me number 1. Number 1, I think, best Michael Bay movie is 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. When I talk about Six Underground being the most Michael Bay movie, 13 Hours is like the least Michael Bay movie. It's surprising thing that this is a Michael Bay movie. It doesn't play like a Michael Bay movie. It's not an over-the-top action movie. It's really no humor in the movie, which is very un-Bay-like. It's really just a drama based on a true story. So he took a true story event and really did it justice, which is like, wow. Unlike Pearl Harbor, where people will go, oh, it's very unrealistic or it's very historically inaccurate, this is actually a very historically accurate movie based on true facts and an important moment, kind of, where these 13 or these soldiers are protecting this embassy, Benghazi, and they get overrun by terrorists in the area, and they have to protect the place with very little, not as many people, but of course they have the great technology of the military, stuff like that, weaponry and all that, and they're able to fend off the base of hundreds of terrorists trying to attack them, and they're trying to get word to DC, like, hey, can you send a plane to fly over to scare them off? Can you send us troops or something to help us, because we're outnumbered and might not make it? So these soldiers are very brave. Of course, it's definitely the most patriotic movie. Michael Bay, though, you look at his movies, he is definitely a patriot, which I do appreciate about Michael Bay. He does love shots of the American flag flowing in the wind. He's very good at those type of shots. You get that in Pearl Harbor very well. You also get in this movie great shots of the American flag. So I do like his patriotism that he shows in this movie, especially. John Krasinski, man, this really showed how good of an actor he is. He was mostly just known as Jim from The Office. And here he feels like he's playing a soldier. He kind of bulked up a little bit. He's playing a very serious role. He does a really good job. And since then, he's done great work in, Quiet Place. He does a very good job there. He plays Jack Ryan in the Jack Ryan TV show on Amazon. He's gone on to, really become more than just a comic actor, but more of a guy that can do different things, drama, action, all this, and more versatile actor than we even knew at the time. So anyways, really like John Krasinski here. It's very good. But everybody here does a good job. And even the action moments are very intense and very well, not over the top, but yet very well done, where you're still on the edge of your seat. I think everything, just shot very, very well. It's a movie about a very important, not very important, but I mean, it's still important story to be told, and done justice, I think, to the soldiers and made them look good, which I always like when we make American soldiers look good, because I have a lot of respect for American soldiers and what they have to go through, the bravery that they have to do, and to sacrifice their lives for others. Incredible stuff, and the way they show them, I thought was such a good job. Definitely check out 13 Hours. A really good kind of movie, war type movie, I guess. I don't know what you would call this genre. It's not war, but it's, in that military, type movie. Done very, very well. And again, very respectful to the true story. I really enjoy that. And again, it's like proves that Michael Bay actually a really good director who at times he does love doing over-the-top action with cringy humor, but he can do a really good drama, and I wish he would do more of these. Again, I don't feel like he's directed a movie in a while. I'm trying to think, is 13 Hours the last movie he directed, or was it one of the Transformers movies, or Ambulance might be, probably Ambulance. Ambulance might have been the last movie he directed, now I think about it. I don't know, if he can get more opportunities to do these kind of movies, I think it would help his overall look, as a director. He doesn't just do over-the-top action, cringe comedy movies, but he can do an actually really good, serious movie that even has a little bit of action in it and all that anyway. So really, really good job with 13 Hours. Definitely my favorite movie is his, and one of the best movies I think that came out that year. I don't have the year it came out, but I remember thinking it was one of the best movies of the year. It's a movie that I have actually. I have this and I have Transformers, I think. Might be the only movies I have. Funny, I think I only have 2 movies of his on DVD, and that's one of them. So that's my thoughts on Michael Bay and ranking all 15 movies. Love to hear anybody's thoughts on Michael Bay. What do you think? Is he overrated director, an underrated director? Is he a terrible director, or do you think he's actually pretty good and you like the movies he does? I'd be interesting if people like him or he's divisive. I don't know. It's interesting to see what people think. Anyways, besides that, tell me what your favorite Michael Bay movie is. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it, and thank you so much to all my subscribers for supporting this channel. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a good day.